I say no to almost everything unless it's partnered with someone who's the best in the game or big in the game. If you look back at my career, I never invented any of these companies. My first company was a clothing brand. My second company was energy drinks with the same name. I just saw that 900 energy drinks tasted like cough syrup. So I'm just gonna make it taste better. Poker site, there's 550 poker sites. I'm not gonna build a better poker site. I'm just gonna make a cool poker site with Dan Bilzerian and Steve Aoki and Playboy Playmates. I just look at each industry, whether it's sports cards, restaurants, hoverboards, poker, whatever, and just make it more efficient. So if you really think about what humans need to survive, it's food, water, shelter. Now they need love and other factors in life, but to actually physically survive, you need food, water, and shelter. Well, all three of those are very fixable, especially food. Think about how much extra food Costco has, and Walmart, and Denny's, and Olive Garden, and every restaurant we go to. And it was illegal for them to give food to the homeless, which is absolute insanity.
Illegal?
You literally get fined or even arrested in a lot of states for giving food to homeless. Bitcoin is inevitable, is the way I put it. There is no one to stop it. On the angel investing side, which is what I'm obsessed with, right? I've done 43 angel investments personally, raised 56 million in the last 2.5 years, 4 food and beverage brands, consumer products. I like angel investing because when you get it right, you put in 25 grand, you get back 200 grand. Whether you're doing food, fashion, real estate, makeup, solar, roofing, doesn't matter what the category is, study everything, go to everything, just immerse yourself and you'll build up a big network.
Welcome to another episode of The Playbook. We have a very special guest today, the youngest, one of the most successful serial entrepreneurs and youngest person on record to take a company public. And I've had the pleasure to get to know him over the last few months. And the guy is an absolute stud and an animal in the business space. And someone who I would consider one of the most influential, at least in the business spectrum, in the entire world at helping people learn and grow and become better and more effective at entrepreneurship and building businesses and relationships. So I'd love to welcome Dan Fleyshman. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, we have a few questions. You know, obviously your reputation, precedes you. You've done a whole lot in this world and in your personal journey. I just wanted to ask, if we could take a step back, and where did you start? Like, how did you become an entrepreneur? Where did that whole thing come from?
1985, I was 4 years old on the swap at the swap meet, buying and selling baseball cards on a little table next to my parents who had a Levi's jeans van that they sold out of the back of. That was their booth. And that was the initial hustling. I was like a little Gary Vee, just buying and selling baseball cards for the first 4 years. Parents get divorced. Mom and I go to San Diego. I start buying and selling candy bars. My mom gave me $13 to go to Costco, buy candy bars. I'd flip it to 26 to 32, give her the 13 back, bada bing, bada boom. And then as soon as I hit high school, I had 3 jobs selling peanuts, Cracker Jacks, the stadium, working at Ruby's Diner with a sailor's cap on, and then working for a stockbroker on the table. Saved up $43,000 during those 3 years, preparing for college for SDSU, and instead start my clothing brand, Who's Your Daddy? I thought $43,000 would last me 2 years. Lasted me 2 months. I got convention booths and samples and screwed over and all those things. But luckily we wrote $1 million in orders, and then the next year, 9.5 million in sales.
So the entrepreneurial spirit, I guess you could call that, was with you very early. What was that like? How?
We just didn't have any money. So it's like, if I throw you in the pool, you got to swim or die. I didn't want my mom to struggle, and I thought I didn't want to be a burden on her. So I would make money to cover my own food at school. I would make my own money to cover college. All I kept thinking about was how could I make enough money to maneuver? And
there's a lot of people that come from a similar background that, where there's too much month at the end of the money, and they don't have that same, let's say, tenacity towards becoming an entrepreneur, selling stuff or being creative like that. Was someone that taught you this in any way, or?
No, I was just crazy. And I would just work morning, noon, and night, and I still work the same morning, noon, and night, and I'll do the same thing 30 years from now too.
Yeah, I think it's like, because I was the same way. I think you were the same way. I just think that's, just being real, I think that's just like a special thing, because I don't think everybody gets that, but I think few people do, where you just know and you want to make more. You want to get outside of what you see currently when you were young. Same. I'm the same, like small town, like nothing. And I'm like, I got to do better than this.
I wouldn't say that I was as aggressive as that when I first, early on. I was competitive in sports, but I didn't turn on the entrepreneurial hat until I got into sales in my 20s, in my early 20s. And we kind of had that conversation on his podcast. But once I got into sales, that's where for me the career path took off, because I was just super aggressive and wanted to win and would work morning to night. But I didn't get that right away. That wasn't something that caught me early. So I mean, that's great. And my parents didn't have any money either. So I'm just wondering if there was some kind of influence on that when you were younger.
Just the game. I just loved it.
Yeah.
Still to this day. I don't do it to buy stuff. I don't have any stuff on, right? Like I don't buy stuff. It was like I need to buy more product to sell more candy. I need to buy more product to sell more sports cards. I need to save up money to go to college. I need enough money to buy more t-shirts. I need enough money to buy energy drinks. Like just the game.
So I think that goes into a good question. Like, it's clearly not necessarily the money that drives you now. Like with where you're at and everything you've done, what drives you? What do you wake up in the morning for?
I can see the game better now the last couple of years than ever, especially right in this moment. It's like I can see the Matrix like Keanu Reeves right now. And so I can look at a company, whether it's selling Pokemon cards, beverages, podcasts, I can become the best or top tier in that category. I have the #1 sports card chain, #1 acai bowl chain, top 3 podcasts. Like I go for top of the charts, whatever I'm doing, poker sites, energy drinks, sports cards, selling blueberries. Like it doesn't matter. I want to like win the game. And that's the driving force to this day now, is like I want to have the most expensive mastermind in the world. I want to have the top podcast on the planet. I want to like win the game to win the game, not because of the fruits that it bears. Like I don't care about the money part.
So it's just the process that you love.
I'm obsessed with it. Yeah. Like literally obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Like every morning when I wake up, I know there's gonna be problems and fires and situations, which I'm excited for. I know that they're gonna be there, so I don't get upset about them. But also every morning I'm like, how do I sell more Pokemon cards? How do I become one more spot higher in the pod? Like we went up 2 spots on the podcast chart today. I was like, yes, like, right? Like, and each time I'm like, what do I have to do to spend more? What do I have to do to execute more? What do I have to do to scale more? Boom, boom. And that part of the game is fascinating to me. I can see it now. I couldn't see it 3, 4, 5 years ago. I was in it. I had experience. I had failures. I had investors. I had partners. I had all the things you needed to be in the game. But I feel like I can see it right now. So if you guys said, hey, we want to start selling podcast mics, I feel like what's they called, a beautiful mind? I could just write it all out. Here's how we're going to start podcastmics.com. Here's how we're going to buy at podcast mics from all these different, anyone who owns it on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Snapchat, let's buy it from all of them. Here's what we're going to do the corporation. We're going to set up in this state. Like I can walk you through it, beautiful mind style on the wall right now. And we'll be live tonight and shipping tomorrow, podcast mics. Where before it would take us 6 months to a year. Let's plan this. Let's do this. Let's meet about it next week. Like I can see it now.
So with having that ability, which obviously, I'm sure it's a special ability, but also just comes from a ton of experience. You've been doing this a long time. Like, and the amount of deal flow you probably get. Like, how do you choose where you're gonna spend your time, put your money?
So I try not to do the shiny object syndromes. I say no to almost everything, unless it's partnered with someone who's the best in the game or big in the game. So I started Elevator Funding because the guys have done $8 billion in loans. I wouldn't start a loan company otherwise. Why would I do that? September 18th, probably around the time this is coming out, Elevator Funding now has a mortgage company. The guy did $2.8 billion last year, $4 billion this year. Okay, I'll start a mortgage company with you, right? And these gentlemen are coming to me because I can help make it famous. I can bring in a lot of relationships. They're the experts, right? $8 billion of loans and $4 billion this year of mortgages. Like they're the legends in the game in their category. Those deals I'm saying yes to. But people that are just pitching me like, let's start XYZ, I can't from a time perspective, because why would I not spend the time and energy on mortgages or loans or Pokemon cards or blueberries, selling acai bowls, like the things that I already have. It doesn't make sense. No matter what someone offers me for a new deal, it's hard to make sense.
Right.
Time-wise, mental-wise, money-wise, all of it. And so I turned down a lot of shiny objects. Even if I feel like I could succeed in that space, I got offered to be in a tequila brand pretty much every week this year. Again, this morning. That's why it's fresh in my mind. I know it's a big category, but I also know I don't see a way to win that category. Like I don't want to be a tequila guy. I don't drink tequila. Like I've had it before, but it's not like I'm actively drinking tequila. Right. So even if someone says, hey, I've got tequila brand, we've already invested $11 million into it, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to win that game. So I'm not going to be in it. Even though the money is there for it, it's not my game. And so the way I pick is, I like Pokemon and sports cards. I like selling acai bowls. I like doing masterminds. Like I like the game of that things. And so I just say yes to those things and no to everything else.
At what point did you get to that point? Because I know, and I know you've been through this too, is, there's points when, people start bringing you deal flow and it's like you want to say yes. And we would say yes. Yeah. And then you get to the point where you're just like, holy shit, dude, this is like too much. You don't have the right operators. Mm-hmm. At what point did you finally get to like, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm saying no to almost everything.
2019, I hired a CEO named Joey Carson to take over Elevator Studio because I was doing everything. I was chained to the office. Could not leave. I didn't want to leave. And I thought I could do everything. I thought I was in the Matrix then. I thought I could see everything perfect then because I was doing everything. The second I brought in a CEO who was very expensive and had equity, and no one's ever had equity in my business, blah, 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 blah. I started Mastermind, $100,000 per person, 100 people, $10 million revenue, 3 months later. So I was thinking for months, do I pay this guy mid-six figures plus equity? And then I did $10 million in sales. I start really expanding on the charity stuff. I start public speaking. I start all my things because I was unshackled from my own office. And so I don't do anything unless I have a CEO or a quarterback to run it. So the reason I do Everbowl is Jeff Fenster's amazing. The reason I do Cars and Coffee is I have a guy that's amazing. The reason I do the masterminds, I have the guy that ran it for household names in the mastermind game. I will not do a company unless there's a CEO or quarterback.
That's huge. No, it's huge because I feel like when we met, I was that guy, stuck and shackled to the confinement of the business.
Yeah.
And I felt the same way. It's refreshing to hear that.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard. It was very hard for me because I want to be involved in everything and touch everything and every decision and all these things and I'm trapped. And you don't see yourself as trapped until you hire that CEO and you're able to kind of expand on that.
Our egos as super entrepreneurs make us think that we are the only one that can run the company and that no one can make decisions as good as us. They don't have the right experience as us. They can't do this. We're wrong. My CEO has been 30 years in the TV game. He knows way more than I do. And is he going to do every social media post correctly? Of course not. Is he going to do every interaction correctly? Of course not. But the other 95% of him is going to crush what I can do. And he's going to be all in. When we get out of our own way, it changes the whole business. But we think that we have to do every meeting, every email, every phone conference, every sales call because it's our baby. We started this thing. We're wrong.
Yeah, he's definitely, I've seen the most growth in the last couple of years in that because you were holding tight to that thing. And I kind of stepped into, social media world, if you want, back in when Build Your Empire started. So that was kind of my first exposure to that. I was always kind of just reclusive, introvert type of guy. So I went that, and that's where I built my relationship with John. And, John is obviously network marketing, but that's the first time I saw where it's like, dude, this guy's just enjoying life, having fun. He's not stuck in the office all the time. And that was kind of the major shift for me when I'm like, I don't want to be stuck there all the time doing that. And people are out there living and enjoying life, and that's what I want.
Our brains are wired different, especially the super entrepreneurs. There's a difference between entrepreneurs, and what I call super entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs want to be like Gary Vee and Ed Milet and Andy Frisella and all the guys we look up to on social. They want to be like that. They're an entrepreneur because they think that it's glamorous and they don't realize how hard it really is. The entrepreneurs are living and breathing it and fighting the good fight. And they're learning how hard it is too because they don't realize that when there's a list on payroll, not only they last, they're last. So they're in it right now and they don't realize that the dream wasn't what they were sold because everyone else, every vendor, every payroll, everything is paid before you. Then there's the super entrepreneurs that survived this. The guys that have built multiple businesses, you've built multiple companies, you're able to start acquiring and exiting and merging. Like super entrepreneurs are the ones that are in the matrix, like they can see it now. But our brains are wired differently. Like right now, I keep looking at the bottom right of that door. I'm like, oh, you should put a towel there to keep out more noise. Can't really hear inside. Like we can't really hear it, but like that's a little fix that I think would change the whole podcast game for this room forever. Our brains are wired differently to see, like you're probably seeing, like I can see all the cans and bottles right here. I just made sure the logo's not pointing so that you don't get in trouble from, I just look at things and I know that our brains are wired differently because that's how the super entrepreneurs are. And A lot of times people feel like they're weird for thinking that, like or they would not bring up the doorway, or they wouldn't bring up the bottle. We need to be blunt about who we are. Like, when you are wired to be a super entrepreneur, you need to accept it.
Yeah.
And the people around you have to accept it, or you have to get rid of them.
Well, I think it's important to be authentic, right? And to really spread that, because that hiding behind who you are is what holds everyone back. It's what held me back as I guess I would, in that lineup, I'd have been an entrepreneur who was fighting the good fight and not realizing that you can't unlock potential until you replace yourself. So I think it's, you're exactly right. You need to release the reins. I was talking to someone today. He built a pest control company out in Florida, and he was a pest control salesman, then became an owner, right, building his own pest control company, built it to $5 million recurring revenue. And he's like, I made less money than I was selling pest control.
Right.
And he's like, I quit. He said, I quit. I said, I'm gonna come work for you.
Yep.
Actually, Wayne set that up, that relationship, and so I talked to him today. And he's like, I'd rather work for a guy like you who understands it, and I can make money and build something cool. And it's like,
employee number 4 gets paid. Employee number 1 does not get paid.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to realize. Like, everyone wants to be this entrepreneur. They think it's this glamorous lifestyle, and as well as anybody, like, what it's like to get paid last. And
Cards and Coffee's done $36 million in sales, loaned $1.6 million plus $500,000 plus $300,000 plus $100,000. I've never been paid once. So everyone sees Cards and Coffee like, holy shit, you did $36 million in sales. Not only am I not getting paid, I'm in it millions of dollars. Now, if it sells, I will win the biggest, right? That's the gamble that the CEO entrepreneurs taking the gamble on. But people see gross sales when people are like, yeah, that guy did 10 million sales. That means he's broke.
Right. Straight up.
Because you got to, not only do you have to pay, 56% of that to overhead, taxes, whatever, you then have to spend money to scale up for next year. You want to go from 10 million to 14 million, right? Well, to do that, you need to pour gas on the fire. Well, that gas thing is the money.
If you were to start from zero right now, what would you do?
Everything the same. Every little thing the same. The difference that I know is how much more I would be throwing events. I throw a lot of events now, and I would have done even more. Wow. Because my power is my cell phone. Whether I want to get a restaurant reservation or buy a restaurant, it's a text away. And so having thousands and thousands and thousands of people on my cell phone is the power. And so I would have done it way earlier, and I would have done it way more aggressively, way more often, way more cities. And it would make me even crazier because I already have 24,000 texts a month that I'm doing. But I know the power because it helps me raise millions of dollars for charity, raise tens of millions of dollars for companies, do millions of dollars in sales, do tens of millions of dollars in sales, and all these different categories because of the people.
I was just going to say real quick before we move on, back to Cards and Coffee. So October 2020 you started. Mm-hmm. The world is in chaos, especially
on Hollywood Boulevard. Yes.
Yeah, especially Hollywood Boulevard.
Literally on fire.
And, so you put $1.6 million into that to start. Like, obviously you have the means to take the risk or you probably wouldn't have done it. But, like, what made you decide to do that at that time? I mean, I also know that cards were going stupid at that time, going crazy. But to do it like you did it, like, what were you thinking?
So when there's chaos, everyone's retreating. And so no one else is going to open sports card stores at that time. No one else was opening Everbowls, restaurants at the time. Everbowl went and signed over 300 leases. There was so much hype and focus on the market, and there was no one to compete with. It was Blockbuster Video versus me, Netflix. Because it's father and son. They've been there for 31 years. It's just the two of them. There's no staff. There's no eBay. There's no StockX. There's no live streaming. There's no video content. It's just they are on Jefferson Boulevard, and you've seen them there as you drove by for the last 31 years. And they'll be there until the dad dies, and maybe the son keeps it going. And that's it. And they're okay with it. And they make 6 figures a year. They gross $1 to $3 million a year, and they're happy. That's fine for them. I saw the Netflix versus Blockbuster. I'm live online 24 hours a day. My stores are partnered with all the major players in the game. We are a drop-off location. We're a pickup location. We're a grading location. Auction houses, whatever. We are partnered with everyone. We're Switzerland. We're partnered with everybody in the game. But 24 hours a day, you can buy cards. Cheap, $20 or $20,000, and it's everything between. So I just saw a void in the market that there is no competition. And if there was, that's fine too, because it's a big country and it would take someone half a decade or a decade to go open up a ton of stores.
Yeah.
And so I just went after the void in the market. If you look back at my career, I never invented any of these companies. My first company was a clothing brand. My second company was energy drinks with the same name. I just saw that 900 energy drinks tasted like cough syrup. So I'm just going to make it taste better. Poker site. There's 550 poker sites. I'm not going to build a better poker site. I'm just going to make a cool poker site with Dan Bilzerian and Steve Aoki and Playboy Playmates. I didn't invent online poker. I just made it more efficient. I started hoverboards. There was 2 companies doing $1,600 and $1,400 hoverboards. That's insane. You have kids. Imagine having to spend $3,000 to buy 2 hoverboards. Yeah, right. That's like a car.
That they're going to destroy.
Yeah, and they're going to ride 4 times, right? So I made mine less than half the price. I added wheels, I added lights, I added sound and music, and I did same-day shipping compared to waiting 8 weeks. Imagine your kids waiting 8 weeks for a toy? Yeah, right. That was it. But I did 5.4 million in sales with $0 ad spend because everyone would buy hoverboards and I could ship it right away. So I say that because I just look at each industry, whether it's sports cards, restaurants, hoverboards, poker, whatever, and just make it more efficient. What are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? What do their customers complain about? What do they like? What do they hate? What do they argue about, on Twitter? And just fix it. Make it more efficient.
You did the trikes too, the electric trikes.
I love those things.
I got one sitting in my house. I got John's from. He gave that one to me.
I literally emailed them again like 5 weeks ago. I was like, they've been sold out for 2 years.
Really? Yeah, those things are, you can't beat that.
I think the inspiration there is that anyone can do that.
For sure. You can look at any category and say, the difference is I actually go take the action, right? If I see a void in a market, I didn't even go raise capital for this because it was crazy time, October 2020. I'm not going to raise money to open a card store on Hollywood Boulevard during the riot wars, like the race wars and everything that was going on. Like, I'm not going to take money from people to do that. That's insane. I just knew that at some point, our country will prevail. We will get through this. And so I'm going to get a really good lease. I'm going to spend really small amount on build out because the general contractors are happy to do it. I'm going to buy cards. Anyways, I just saw the inefficiencies and I took the action. A lot of times people say, oh, I can make a better fishing lure. You could. Go do it. Just go look up all the fishing lures that are out there, find out what you like that are right and wrong, what do people complain about, and make a better fishing lure.
Yeah. I guess that's where guys like you win, is taking the action, just going for it.
Well, I think anyone that wins, right? Like,
yeah.
How many times have we grew up with people that never take action?
Never.
And that's the biggest thing. I remember spending a little bit of time with you, Dan, and your mind is nonstop. It's just going, it's going. And you're trying to problem solve. And that's really it. You're trying to take action, it's like you said. Mm-hmm. Where when you're around people that aren't action takers, how do you feel about that?
Well, they're not part of many of my companies because that's not an option. Because I can't be there all the time and I can't hold their hands. So
what about family? Like family members that, it's family's family. It's different,
I see my family on holidays and on birthdays because it's when I'm there, it doesn't make sense to talk about Everbowl and sports cards. Like they like to hear about it for fun, to live vicariously through me, but does it really make sense for them? And that's okay. And too often we're like, well, you have to because that's your cousin or that's your nephew or that's your friend or that's your family member or that's even your parents and brothers and sisters. You don't have to. I'm mean about it. I don't have to. I don't have to placate or I see them on High Holiday. I love them. They're welcome to come over anytime. I love seeing them. I've flown across the planet to come to their birthday parties just to fly away the next day. I'm there to see my family out of respect. But when the 3 hours of dinner is up, I'm ready to go back to work.
I'm just how is that? Do you feel like that is, whether it's good or bad, perceived, by the family? Are they understand at this point? Probably, I imagine.
Yeah, because they've seen my effort to come. I've literally flown from London, Malta, Costa Rica, New York to fly there for the dinner, fly out the same night or fly out the next morning. Literally flown across the planet. I'm sure.
I would imagine. This is what I've seen personally. It's that was a hard one for me for a long time because it was I wanted to bring my family along, and it got to the point where it's you guys aren't doing anything, and you're just killing my energy. So I stopped doing that. But as I slowly started getting a little bit more success, and they would see it, and it has over time changed a couple of them. A couple of them are entrepreneurs now doing things. I'm sure you've seen that within your family when they've seen your success.
Yeah. The hardest part is, for the most part, people want to exist. They want to go through life without risk. Mm-hmm. They like to have the white picket fence with 2.4 dogs and 2.4 children. They want to go through life, and that's fine. And they're happy, and they're probably happier than I am because they want to make 80 grand a year for their family of 4 with their 2.4 kids. And they're calm. They go on one vacation a year. They go to XYZ, and they are perfectly happy. They don't go through the roller coasters, the stresses, the insanity, the fights, the debts, the partnerships, the lawsuits and headaches. They don't go through it all, and they're just happy. They go to the movies twice a month. They go to vacation 1 week a year. They're happy, and that's perfectly fine. And I don't judge them, and I hope they don't judge me. But I also don't have to change who I am for that.
Well, the fact that you take your time, because I know you value time, is more valuable than the average person for sure. That you would take your time to go and be there for those things. That shows a whole lot of support for that. I would hope that they would appreciate that. I don't know. Family is a tough one for me too, because as someone who likes to, I love to work. It's not about having to. I love to do it.
Sure.
And that's been hard in relationships, personal relationships, because of that. So I just wanted your perspective on that. And you take the time, you go, and then you're gone. Right, you're back in the grind, but at least you're showing that's there.
And I'm not apologetic for it. I don't say sorry, you have to leave. I say I have to leave. I'm not sorry. My world is run because of this, and most of those people's family members' children are going to benefit from it one day when I pass, and I've helped them along the way.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sorry for it. And if I couldn't make it, I would not be sorry either. I would be very blunt, because they know I want to be there. I want to be there, but I am at a convention. I want to be there, but I'm on CNN in New York at this exact time. I do want to be there. I'm not sorry I can't be there, because I do want to be on CNN. I do want to be at this convention. And I will be at your birthday the other 39 times that I can, the other 99 times that I can. But for many, many years, I just always heard about what I have to do or how I should be, or don't look at your phone while you're at the family thing. I'm running my world, and it benefits everyone. And this is who I am. And I'm okay with it.
You talk a lot about charity and how important that is to you. Why is it so important?
Because it's very solvable. Our world's problems are very, very solvable, and it frustrates me. My whole goal of getting fame, wealth, and collecting a lot of people that trusted me and see me do charity for 14 years in a row and toy drives for 10 years in a row, etc., so that they trusted me later to fix the world. If you really think about what humans need to survive, it's food, water, shelter. Now, they need love and other factors in life, but to actually physically survive, you need food, water, and shelter. Well, all three of those are very fixable, especially food. That is ridiculous that we have hunger anywhere on the planet, because think about how much extra food Costco has, and Walmart, and Denny's, and Olive Garden, and every restaurant we go to. And it was illegal for them to give food to the homeless, which is absolute insanity.
Illegal?
You will literally get fined or even arrested in a lot of states for giving food to homeless. They're finally starting to realize how ridiculous and rude and evil that is. It's actually evil. And by the way, if I'm homeless, I would rather eat a 3-day-old turkey sandwich than not eat.
Right.
Let's just be really clear. Let me gamble on getting sick. That's fine. And I can also make a decision when I look at it. But not having that turkey sandwich, I'm most likely going to die or starve. So food to me is extremely, extremely solvable. When you just think about the sheer magnitude of what Quest bars, Gatorade, snack companies, M&M's, Hershey's, Mars, these are not billion-dollar companies. These are 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 billion-dollar companies. And then look at the other companies that could donate physical money that they have to, which they don't do enough, that could then buy this food to give to people in any country or all the countries. Very fixable. And it's sad to me when you think about the huge percentage of kids that go to school hungry in America. What? That's an absolute insanity. You don't think that we can get Nutri-Grain bars, that all of us pitch in X amount of dollars to buy enough food to give out Nutri-Grain bars and apple juice at least, just so the kids have something in the morning? How hard would that be? It's pennies on the dollar. And then trail mix. How cheap is trail mix? At least the kids will not have blood spikes by having something in the morning if they had trail mix and apple juice. You know what I'm saying? It's too solvable.
Yeah.
And then shelter, just look at we know how efficient it is to build buildings, obviously. And the inefficiencies of the government is what frustrates me. I'm not anti-government, I'm anti-slow. When you look at somewhere like Los Angeles, they're like, yeah, we got 4 billion or 8 billion or 6 billion, whatever the number is each year for the homeless. I can't even walk outside in Hollywood or downtown LA because it's insane. The tens of thousands of homeless people that are literally dangerous, and they don't want to be dangerous. They just don't have a choice to survive. And so when you just think about how effective it could be if someone that was a business person said, I'm going to make these high rises or warehouses or homeless shelters at a real price point, compared to, they just announced again a month ago, They built a building, which is very nice of them, with 77 units in it. And it costs over $1 million per unit. What are you talking about?
Yeah, what good is that?
These are 400 square foot apartments.
Yeah, somebody made some money on that.
You're telling me it takes $1.1 million to make a 400 square foot apartment? I can tell you it doesn't, because we're in construction and we know. And so like that, and it took them years to build it. So that stuff frustrates me, that it's so solvable. That's why I care about charity so much, is I can fix it. And I'm not the only one that can fix it. I'm just...
Do you think that's a greed issue of why it's not being solved?
It's a greed issue. It's an inefficiency issue. And there's a bit of population control, because if you cure food, what happens? 2 billion people survive longer. They make more kids. We go from 2 billion to 4 or 5, 6 billion extra. Well, there's only 8 billion people on the planet. So like you get 2 billion people to survive longer and are healthier. That's better for the economy, obviously, because holy smokes, that's billions more people. But like there's a lot of things about that part. Also, if they don't get sick, all the money's not in the cure. It's in the keeping them
medicine.
The medicine. We all know that AIDS and cancer and these things have been solved 20, 30 years ago. Look at Magic Johnson, thriving. His announcement was in the 90s. That guy had HIV in the 90s, and he's jumping up on stage at my conferences all the time, and he's worth $2 billion, right? So we know that these are solvable things, but if someone actually has the cure for cancer, that hurts the medical industry by hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars. So that's the thing that's stuck in my brain, is always just the inefficiencies of, we know these are fixable things. We know that a lot of things in our medical space are very fixable or have already been fixed. But there is greed, there is inefficiencies, and just a lack of execution. Like,
Have you always felt that way as far as giving charity, or is that something that came as you became more successful?
So I started throwing a lot of charity-related stuff in 2009 during the poker days. I was throwing charity poker tournaments, raising $141,000 at a charity poker event for a charity. And I didn't get to see the result afterwards. And mostly because I want to be able to tell the people that donated, like, look what you did, you built a shelter, or look what you did, you fed this many people. Like, and so that's when I decided I'm going to either do my own charities, which I started, or only support charities that I could see the cause and effect. Like I could see what happened.
Oh, they would take the money and you wouldn't know where it was going or what was happening.
I'm not to say they were doing something nefarious, I just don't know. And I wanted to report back to the people that came and donated their $1,000, to tell them what happened. So charity to me became like a business, in the sense of, I'm going to be efficient at charity and I'm going to execute on it, and this is how I'm going to do it, and this is why I'm going to do it. And mostly I'm going to show people how they can do charity more efficiently. Because people are scared to throw a toy drive. I'm like, it's not that hard. We meet at a building, everyone brings toys there. For a couple of weeks, you guys all put up flyers around to bring toys on that date, and then you give the toys out to kids.
Something so simple that can make such a big impact. And that's the thing that people really care about. It's amazing, because just like a little toy drive like that, your value in society is way bigger, at least it should be perceived that way, than building a $1 billion company that doesn't donate anything. So it's a great noble cause, man, that you focus on helping people and those that are in need.
I want to show people how they can do charity more efficiently. Like, most of the time I don't raise money for charity. Earlier this year I came up with 2 months too long. 2 years too long. The 2 years too long concept was, if you haven't worn that clothing, that shirt for 2 years, it's been too long, give it away. Whether it's to your family, to your friends, or to a Goodwill or whatever, just give it away. And there's no argument, because you're not wearing it on the 3rd year, right? If you didn't wear that snow jacket or that bikini for 3 years, you're just not wearing it. So that went on to have like 4,000 people repost me, and then later it became way bigger than me. They didn't even tag me. They didn't know I started it. I don't need a pat on the back.
Right.
I want you to go give out clothes, because if 4,000 people give out clothes, and they give out 10 or 20 items each, well, holy smokes, that's a lot of clothes. What if and what if those 4,000 inspired 40,000 to do it? We did the tipping dinners, the $100 tipping club. Same thing, around 4,000 people have tagged us over the last 4 years. The tipping dinner is way bigger than us. They have no idea it was me and Jimmy Rex. They have no idea it was us. But I don't need a pat on the back. I need tipping dinners to happen all over the world, because tens of millions of dollars is going to these waitresses and waiters and kitchen staff.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to get people to do toy drives, do Thanksgiving food drives, make backpacks for the homeless, do a Ziploc bag for the homeless. You don't need my backpacks. I just want to show you how easy it is to do my stuff.
I would love to do a big charity event like that.
Let's do it.
That'd be a lot of fun.
The toy drive will be here. We did it at the big clothing warehouse here.
Yeah, I helped Cody here with it the last time. Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, that was. And then they went to the news station, I think. Yeah, that was great. No, I love that, and even your tipping dinners. I've been a part of 2 of those. I did one with Jimmy Rex at my warehouse in Scottsdale, with Tyler Hall. I don't know if you know him, but and it's almost like selfish, because it's like, damn, that felt good.
Sure.
Helping that, food truck people that like, they're barely getting by, and we changed their lives. Yeah, once we did that, I was hooked on those. Those are amazing, powerful things to do. Really cool.
I mean, charity is biblical, not to bring that subject in, but it's something that's, talked about since the beginning of time is those who have to help, those who don't. And it's I think it's extremely important. I want to change the subject just a little bit here, because I remember you were speaking of helping those in need, talking about I believe it was the 60-40-20 rule on investing.
40-40-20.
40-40-20, yep. Okay, I was close. And how really anybody, no matter where their economic status is, could start building something outside of what their own hands are producing. Can you get some insight onto that? Like if someone was making, let's say the 80 grand a year guy what could they do? So
the concept of 40-40-20 is 40% low risk, where you're trying to make between 5 and 9% for the year. 40% medium risk, where you're trying to make 10 to 30% for the year. And 20% high risk. This is your shot at glory. You want it 5x, 8x, 15x, something crazy to happen. And if it doesn't work out, the medium risk and low risk should hopefully cover the high risk. So say you've got 10 grand saved up out of your $80,000 salary. You got 10 grand saved up that you want to deploy. The concept would be 4,000, 4,000, 2,000, right? You can change the numbers depending on you. This is just what I've done for many years, and it's worked because the ebbs and flows of the way investing the world works, that when this gamble hit, it's really big. And when it doesn't, these are making money. So on the low risk side, you don't need, and by the way, 10 grand is fine. You can do it with 10 million, 100 grand, 1 grand. It's all fine. But let's just use 10 grand. The S&P 500, people don't realize, over the last 93 years has averaged 11.1% return. So just by betting on the stock market, the general 500, top 500 companies in the world, you would beat pretty much every financial planner on the planet. No. Sorry to all the financial planners, but just betting on the S&P 500, which by the way is 23% this year, but 11% average. Holy smokes. And all you're doing is betting on Oracle, Netflix, Meta, Google, Amazon, a bunch of companies you never heard of, Procter & Gamble, General Electric. You're just betting on the top 500 companies. Some will lose, some will win, but overall they're going to grow from 1 trillion to 2 trillion, 2 trillion to 3 trillion, 3 trillion to 4 trillion, because math and time compounds. The other low risk thing is CDs at your bank right now are ridiculous. 5.1% at Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase. That's insane. You can just take your money in your own bank account and just move it into your own bank account in a CD. That's kind of locked up, but it's in your own bank account, so you could just sell it if you had to and break it. So if you ever really needed it, but you shouldn't, that's why you should invest a small amount, not a big amount. So you don't actually have to use the capital I'm talking about. But 5.1% to just have it parked there really adds up over time if you pull out a compound calculator. For many, many years, our whole life, that CD was 0.5% or 1%. So there'd be no point because after fees, it's basically nothing. But 5.1% is insane. So the low risk side or no risk side, you can just deploy capital into things that are just low risk or no risk. The medium risk is where most people live. Real estate, stock market, cash flowing businesses. The difference with the stock market here is you buy individual stocks. But I'm not gambling. I'm buying Apple and Google and Netflix and Meta and Tesla and Amazon. If you shop at Walmart, maybe you should buy some Walmart stock. You buy from Amazon all the time, maybe you should buy the best performing stock in the history of the world, right? I'm not gambling on Amazon. Can it go up and down stock price wise? Sure. But every year it ends up going up, right? There's fluctuation along the way. But if you're listening to this, do you think Apple will be here in 4 years? Great. Buy some Apple stock. Now, along the way, it is going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. But over the course of time, it goes from 1 trillion to 2 trillion, 2 trillion to 3 trillion, 3 trillion to 4 trillion. So if you love Apple and you buy every single Apple iPhone for $1,400, buy $1,400 of stock. You spend $20 a month on Netflix? Well, Netflix is the top 5 performing stock of all time. What if you would have put in $20 a month into Netflix? Last thing to blow your mind. On Apple. If you would have bought Apple stock every time the iPhone came out, and it was the same exact amount. So iPhone 1 came out for $800, you bought $800 of stock. iPhone 2 came out, you paid $800, you paid $800. iPhone 3 came out, it was $1,100, you put in $1,100. Do you know what that would be? There's only 14 phones. That's right.
What would it be?
$1,150,000.
No way. Really?
Those 14 investments are only 20 grand total.
Gosh, dude.
Wow.
If you just bought it. And so think about it. I don't even know the number. I'd love to figure it out on Netflix. If you would have put in 15 to $20 a month the whole time. You know that Netflix is 27 years old? You don't even think about it like that.
Yeah.
But it's just because it just got popular with Netflix and chill 7 years ago. When Making a Murderer came out is when Netflix went through the roof, that show. But the point is, if you shop at Walmart, buy some Walmart stock. If you have a Tesla, how dare you not own some Tesla stock? You spend $63,000 on a car and you won't buy $6,300 or $630
Right.
of the stock? Why? You trust it to drive you around. You trust it with your life, but you don't trust Elon Musk, the one guy that has four different $1 trillion companies, $4 billion companies. Like,
I think it's unfortunate because I think it just comes down to education. The average person doesn't even realize that. They're just like, my 401k, that's what I do. That's all I know.
That's why I dumb it down.
Yeah.
To be blunt. That's why I make it so simple.
And that's
if you buy a Tesla, buy Tesla stock. Do you shop at Walmart? Great. Do you have an iPhone? Yes, you do. How dare you not have an iPhone?
And it's really like,
That's all.
And the barrier to entry. I mean, what he just said about Apple, like that's
a couple $100.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's like not buying Bitcoin in 2008. You know, like all these people who had Bitcoin and sold it and thought whatever it was going to go crash, and now it's $50,000. Like those, there's so much out there, and the barrier to entry is not as high as people think it is.
Bitcoin is the number one performing asset in the history of the world. I installed the very first Bitcoin ATM in 2014 into the D Hotel Casino in Las Vegas.
Really?
It's $340. I did the very, very first news article about Ethereum. It was $19. Now it's $3,000 or whatever the heck it is now. 150 times more. And Bitcoin is also 150 times more than when I started. I'm still a buyer today. 150 times more than when I first posted about it, talked about it, was involved in it, did articles about it, threw events about it. I still literally buy it today.
You believe Bitcoin, I don't know a time frame, but like it'll hit million, you think?
Bitcoin is inevitable, is the way I put it. There is no one to stop it.
Yeah.
There's no FBI raids happening.
Seems like countries are trying.
Nothing they can do.
They're shutting it out of whole countries are making it like illegal to.
I can write down my Bitcoin code onto a napkin and hand you $4 or $4 million or 400 million on a napkin. Couldn't care less about the government.
It's
just
servers,
a code.
yeah, how are you gonna?
I can put on a little digital storage wallet. Say here's 40 grand for you. Here's 40 grand for you, and here's $400 million for you. There's no little size of my keychain. There's nothing that countries can do. There's no one to arrest. There's no Bitcoin CEO. There's no Bitcoin office. There's no funds to freeze. There's nothing they can do, which is frustrating to them. On the other side of it, people think there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. That's theoretically true, except that 4.6 million Bitcoin are already missing. People died, they lost their wallets, or they lost their lives. Like they lost it, or they transferred it incorrectly. So you send him Bitcoin to his Ethereum wallet. There's no customer service for Bitcoin. There's no way to get it back. And I've watched people do massive amounts of sending the wrong wallet, the wrong thing, or you put one wrong code and it's over. There's no one to call. And so your Bitcoin's gone. So 4.6 million Bitcoin is missing, and way more is going to be missing over the course of time because people will die, people will lose their wallets, people will lose their phones, lose their laptops. And there's the rounding error. So you send him 40 grand, but you had 40,100, that $100 is probably just going to stay in your account. Well, imagine millions of people that just have like $20, $10, $100, $500, $200 sitting in their account. That's not going anywhere. So now the supply gets less. Then there's people that buy it and just never sell it, right? They just buy it, hold on to it, or buy it, forget about it, buy it, it's on their laptop, buy it and die, whatever the thing. That's not lost, it's just locked up. So the supply keeps getting less and less and less. So 21 million is theoretically the final number in 2045? No. You're gonna have like 12 to 14 million and less and less and less over the course of time. But the demand side keeps growing year after year for 14 years in a row. It's only been one losing year out of 14 years. That's a good investment. It's only one losing year out of 14 years. And so the demand is growing, the supply is getting less. What happens to the price?
Goes up. So it's inevitable is what you're saying. So we talked about low risk, the middle risk, which is kind of like the individual stock concept.
Yeah, real estate, cash flow businesses, yeah.
And then the high risk.
High risk is cryptocurrency and angel investing. Cryptocurrency is high risk because of the volatility. But if you can stomach it or close your eyes and not look, then Bitcoin, Ethereum, the main coins have already proven for 14 years in a row that they are who they say they are, right? On the angel investing side, which is what I'm obsessed with, right? I've done 43 angel investments personally, raised 56 million in the last 2.5 years, 4 food and beverage brands, consumer products. I like angel investing because when you get it right, you put in 25 grand, you get back 200 grand. You put in 100 grand, you could get back 2 million. There can be failures along the way. You could wait a long time. Things can happen. But when I've had my exits, it's crazy.
What, maybe not, you don't got to share numbers or anything, but like.
I'll share anything, I don't care.
What was your biggest win? I know, and I don't know how much you owned or whatever, but you had like SneakerCon that went for what, over $1 billion?
Yeah, so SneakerCon we sold to eBay. That's one I can't say the number because eBay's got a very strict contract. But yeah, so SneakerCon was really cool because they actually bought us twice. They bought us and then
bought you again at a higher valuation.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
What does that mean? Like you went through a round two?
Yeah, so a lot of times when you see exits, a lot of times they're 80-20 deals. And so oftentimes you're like, oh, that company got acquired. Well, 80% of it got acquired. So let's say there's a $100 million exit. They got 80 million. They left 20% for the founders to keep them engaged. Why? One, they want to keep the founders what's called golden handcuffs.
Right.
So they stick around. Two, gives the founders a second bite at the apple. Three, if the company, let's call it eBay in this example, buys something for 80 million out of 100, and then they pour their energy efforts and infrastructure, lawyers, accountants, marketing into it and scales it, the 20% can actually be worth more than the 80% in a couple of years.
Which happens a lot, really.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the purpose of private equity is to come in and do that. Is to come in and like, it's just like with Nerd. The whole idea behind this company, why we did this merger and acquisition, is to have private equity come in, take us from, let's say, 4 states into 15 states and sell to an even bigger one. So we have that second bite of the apple.
For example.
Yeah, it's the same kind of concept there. So angel investing. So you're going in and you're looking at startup companies or companies that require some fuel, some fire into the tank to get it. To say, hey, we'll give you the money, you get a piece of that, grow it, and then boom, and it explodes into another transaction.
Correct. I reduce my risk on angel investing by investing in companies doing at least 2 million in sales. So if a company is a startup company with an idea or a physical product that hasn't really got going yet, that is a big gamble, and you're going to get a big reward for it because it's a low valuation. I would rather take less risk and invest once they've done 2 million sales, 4 million sales.
Because then they have somewhat of a blueprint.
Yes.
Yeah. What industries, sectors interest you right now in that?
Yeah, so I do food and beverage brands and consumer products. So I helped raise $6 million for BLK Water, $10 million for Rise Coffee, $3 million for Icon Meals, $3 million plus $3 million for It's Skinny Pasta, $4 million for Joyride Candy.
And this is all, is this all kind of seed rounding?
It's usually the second round. It's usually Series A because there are those companies that I just mentioned were doing 16 million, 7 million, 4 million. They already have.
So they're already established.
Yeah.
Relatively.
Icon Meals is already going to do 20 million sales.
Now these companies that you're finding that are doing, let's say 2 million to 20 million in sales, are they profitable yet, or is that not until?
It depends. It doesn't actually matter to us that much, the profitability, because we can make them profitable. Because we will come in with our efficiencies. The reason I'm a good investor is, let's say you have a beverage company. I can help you with manufacturing, the labeling, the design, the shipping, the marketing, the lawyers, the accountants, the lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, right? Everything about your beverage company I can help you with. And you can pick and choose a la carte. I'm not going to force you to take my 3PL warehouse or my friend that can do this and that. But I'm also going to get you more distributors, more retailers, more chain stores, better, I'm going to help you with all these things. And so I look at it from that perspective that I know I'm helping my own bet. So they don't have to necessarily be profitable if I can help them become more profitable. Not if, I will help them become more profitable. And I'm going to bring along, it's called Elevator Syndicate. That's my investment group. My Elevator Syndicate is going to bring you other investors and partners too that's going to help you as well. So we know we will help the efficiencies of the business. And that's why I do things that I can help. Food and beverage, consumer products, things like that. We're doing it for Hostage Tape right now, the black tape. UFC, they're the official sponsor of the UFC and Joe Rogan show, et cetera. They're going to do 20 million this year without us.
That's crazy.
Without us.
I've actually got Hostage Tape at the house.
So there you go.
That's wild.
So imagine me and a bunch of interesting characters put in $4 million to help Hostage Tape. They're already doing 20 million without us. What happens with us?
Right. You get the right group together. I saw you're obviously all over the place. I saw your schedule for September is pretty crazy, man. And I don't know, you love what you do, so it's not that. Would you consider, because I see you with Damon John, would you consider going on Shark Tank? Is that something that you would do?
As a judge or as a character or as a presenter? I would do either.
No, as a judge, someone.
I mean, I'm just saying I have no ego. I would go pitch Cars and Coffee on there. I'm happy to go.
But you just did Going Public.
Yeah, I did.
How'd that go?
That's really fun.
I just watched it. It looked dope.
That was some battles in there. Yeah, Going Public is a fun show. Yeah. I would absolutely positively love to be a judge on Shark Tank, but I want to wait. I want to be ready. You got to battle Mark Cuban and Damon John, guys I'm friends with, but I got to battle with them on the investing field, and I can't put up a check that they can. They could just overpay for stuff and throw in 2 million, 5 million. I do a whole lot of 6-figure checks. I don't do, I do 43 6-figure checks. I don't do $1 million checks. Besides, when I tell you I put in 1.6 to Cars and Coffee, that's mine. It's my baby, right? I will put in millions of dollars into my own thing, but I'm not walking over hey, you want me to put in 2 million to your company? I'm not doing that. I don't gamble like that. On myself, I will. no matter how much I love you, that's not how I roll. I do a lot of 6-figure checks. Well, Mark Cuban can do any check, right? Damon John can do any check. Kevin O'Leary, these guys, like, I'll be at dinner with Kevin O'Leary tomorrow. I don't want to battle him on Shark Tank, right? Like, he's speaking tomorrow. Like, that's cool. I don't want to be sitting next to him when he's deciding to bid $600,000 on something, because
there's a point where it just becomes it's yours.
Yeah, and I don't want that. I want to go there to win.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to go there and be able to battle Mark Cuban. I'm not saying I have to be a billionaire to be like as rich as him to do it, but I got to be able to roll my sleeves up. Okay, it's time to put my big boy pants on. He wants to put $1 million, and I got to put in 1.2, right? Or I got to put in the same $1 million and take a lower valuation because blah blah blah. I want to be there prepared, and I hire Shark Tank for every single Aspire tour, mastermind. Like, I'm always booking the Shark Tanks. I love them. I love the concept of I'm so happy that it's one of the longest running shows of all time, but I would not go there unless I could go stand toe to toe with them.
Fair.
But I also have no ego to it. Like, I would go pitch on their show right now to my own friends.
Yeah.
Right now. Today. I would go pitch Cards and Coffee, Everbowl, whatever. Wild Jungle in a heartbeat. I'd go there as a contestant, and then X amount of years later, I'll come back as a shark.
There's been a few of those.
Yeah.
What's funny is that a lot of them that don't even get an investment end up as sharks.
Right. Like the ring guy,
Yeah.
Yeah, I had friends that were just on there. They build like sustainable homes, but they build out of foam. They said awesome time. They didn't get an investment just because they said they loved it, but they're not developers. It's not their world, so they didn't. But they said it was a pretty awesome experience. But I wanted to ask you about, I know a few people that know you very well. Cody, Bruce Cardenas, John Malott. Anybody that I've ever, been in conversation about you, it's been, everybody. I like to have like some tactical, real life, easy to do stuff that we put out in some of these podcasts. So it's like, if somebody was starting right now and just, whatever, any business really, but they wanted to really get out there and start building, what should they do to start building these relationships with people that can help them, essentially?
First things first, go to a bunch of events, conventions, conferences, mixers, networking, throw your own at your house, in a hotel lobby, at an art gallery, at a real estate office, wherever. Just get people together, because you might only know 6 people, but 6 people, usually they invite someone with them, so now there's 12. And next time there's 25, then there's 50, then there's 100. And I can tell you for sure, because that's how my toy drive started. I had 8 people the first time, then 20-ish, and now we have hundreds of volunteers. It grew over time. Elevator Nights was 140 people, then 300, then thousands, right? Like, it grows over time. So get people together and go to other people's events, go to networking stuff, go to conferences, go to conventions, look on Craigslist, look on events.com, look on Eventbrite, look on your local newspaper, just go to stuff and just network, meet people, because it extrapolates from there as you meet them, especially if you like a niche, real estate, luxury cars, fashion, jewelry, makeup, fitness. Like, if you like a niche, then you can really go down the rabbit hole. Next, on social media, go follow the people that are interesting characters. Now, it's not saying you're going to go get to network with Gary Vee and Ed Mylett by following them, because they've got millions of followers. But people that are in a category and space that you're in, real estate, solar, roofing, construction, fashion, food, whatever, following people that are small, medium, large in that category and just commenting on their stuff, being interactive. You'd be shocked at how many people like start to think about you because you're just commenting on their stuff and interacting with them. That will make you stand out. Support them, repost their stuff. Just being active with people on social media in your niche will build up relationships. And then in the comment section, you're going to see other characters that either are friends with them, know them, respect them, are bigger than them, whatever. Interact with them, comment on them, talk to them, follow them. I call it embedding yourself in the internet. Just embed yourself in the internet. Yeah. And you can do this at 2 a.m, 2 p.m. I'm not asking you to change your work schedule. Just spend time interacting on social media and not being a troll. Don't go in there to talk crap. Go in there, provide value, comment, whoop, whoop, cheer for people, repost their stuff, just being active. And the next thing, and the most important thing you can do is get really, really smart at your category. Like, really smart. Study everything. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You want to be a videographer? Learn every freaking thing about it. That Canon camera, that Sony camera, these podcasts might just be wicked smart about your category, and you will stand out. People will pay you for your brain, and they will want you to be around. And so whether you're doing food, fashion, real estate, makeup, solar, roofing, doesn't matter what the category is, study everything. Go to everything. Just immerse yourself, and you'll build up a big network.
Dan, you actually talk about the compound interest and its effects. And I want you to touch on personal branding and the compound effect of a personal brand.
Yep.
And also, not only that, I want you to also talk to the entrepreneur that's already successful out there and they're new to the social media space, but they don't see any traction. They want 90 days, I'm the new Ed Milet.
Yep.
What do you have to tell them when they don't see that success right away?
Math and time compounds. And you can't skip to famous, what people think. They think, oh, I'm going to go viral and I'm famous. There's so much that has to happen. And even when things go viral, you have to still be consistent after the fact. We've seen plenty of people go viral that you never heard from again. We've seen plenty of one-hit wonders that you wouldn't know who they are if they walked in here. They've seen millions of athletes come and go, and you can only name a couple hundred athletes ever of all time, right? But there's been millions of professional athletes over the, So the things to grow on social media is, and your personal brand is the consistency factor. If you post once or twice a day and you times that by 365, after a couple of years, you've done thousands of posts. That means that tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people have seen your posts and shared your posts and interacted with you. You will grow a personal brand. It's just math. Literally, if you just post it every day and your 8 followers becomes 20 and your 20 becomes 100, you don't have to have 100,000. You will get to thousands of followers, if not tens of thousands. And if you do things that are funny, smart, teaching people, etc., they'll repost your content. Simple as that.
Yeah.
If you post something interesting about mergers and acquisitions in the solar space, and I reshare it, you will gain following. There's no guessing, right?
Right.
And if the people that I posted to don't follow you, at least they know who you are, or see your name, and then maybe later they follow you, or maybe later they interact. But you will build personal brand because I shared your content. Why did I share your content? Because you posted something smart, or funny, or interesting. People always talk about provide value. You know how you provide value? Be funny, smart, or interesting. That's it. And by doing that on a consistent basis, by posting about things, by interacting on other people's posts, by embedding yourself in the internet, commenting on Reddit things, going on Twitter, tweeting at people, going on Instagram, going on TikTok, just being in the mix. By the way, everything I said was free, 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 and free. Whether you're 16 years old or 93 years old, you can do what I'm talking about. It's just doing it over and over and over. And I don't want it to sound so overwhelming because it's once or twice a day. And it's about something that you like or care about. You love chess? Great. Be on every chess platform, every chess account, follow every chess themed page, follow every chess player, just embed yourself. And you will be known in the chess industry really quickly, like months. And then by doing that, they're going to invite you to chess events. They're going to invite you to chess competitions. They're going to invite you to the chess conference. You're going to be speaking on chess podcasts just because you're smart.
Yeah.
So the way to build a personal brand is to be consistent, be smart, and be active.
I just want to point out, because I've been doing now podcasts for a year and a half, maybe somewhere in that ballpark. I'm relatively new to it. This conversation has been the most action items that I've ever heard. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's why I've always appreciated you. There's very few, I love going to the conferences. I went hard at them for a while. But a lot of time it's just the rah-rah.
It's hype.
Yeah, it's hype. And it's like, give me actionable. And there's few people that I've seen that do that. You're one of them. Brian Stewman was always one of them. And yeah, I really appreciate that because it is. It's like just breaking stuff down simply for people so they can understand
Look,
it.
I'm telling you right now, just what the stuff that he said just so far, if you cut this thing up and showed some of those highlights, like you have given people a key and a pathway to financial freedom. And I know that's your goal.
Yes, absolutely.
And I love that. And charity's one thing, helping people is another thing. And there's so many people that are going to watch podcasts like these and they're hoping for some kind of golden ticket or golden answer or golden whatever. And there's no such thing. It's all the stuff that you said are action items. But at the end of the day, no one can motivate you. No one's going to give you like the discipline to get up every day and be excited to take an action. And I think it's all really, really cool stuff that you've gone over today. And I just hope that people that watch these things, take action, do something. I know that I'm aggressive, right, in life, and I know you are, and I know Rio is, and I know that we're passionate about business, and and guys like us, we're gonna make money no matter what the situation is. But a lot of people that watch this, they're not, and I just hope that these conversations, these podcasts, even if it changes one life, and just it makes someone go, wow, maybe I can be in a better situation than the cards that I've dealt. Like that, it's worth to do it. Do you feel that way? Is that what gives you so much passion to spread yourself so thin?
But better than charity is creating jobs. If I can create jobs and create people to become investors, if I can teach single moms how to go invest, you will literally change the planet.
True.
They have wherewithal and the brain power and the action, and they would be some of the best executives on the planet, but they're happy taking care of 2-3 kids. But if I can show them how to invest or how to start an Amazon business or how to start selling something online, they can change the world financially.
Yeah.
And if I can get people to start companies, invest in deals, be more active, that will lead to creating tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, hopefully millions of jobs, which is more impactful than any charity I could ever do.
Yeah.
So we have our kickoff meeting every month. We have a big meeting where we get the whole company together and have go over the numbers and what we did last month, what we're going to do this month, et cetera, right? And our top performer was a 47-year-old single mother, 2 kids. And this is door to door.
Oh my gosh.
This is
Interesting.
And so when she won for the month and she got a bonus and whatever else, and we gave her a lot of accolades for winning the month, I didn't know she had won, right? And so she won, and I stopped the whole meeting. I said, I need to hear your story.
Yeah.
And she says, it's one of the most humbling things I've ever heard. She says, I should not have won this. I'm 47 years old. I've got some sales experience, but there's so many
24-year-olds
young, that you guys should be winning this and
running laps around her.
And she's like, the fact that I won, and I said, did you know that you were going to win? She's like, no, I had no idea I was going to win. And it was so inspiring because I said, look, if you guys in this company aren't inspired by her, nothing's going to inspire you. If a 47-year-old single mother of 2 who moved her whole family to another state for us to go work out of another office can go out there and be the #1 rep in our entire organization, if that's not inspiration, I don't know what is. And she said, this company's changed my life. And for me, that was it. That's what I do this for, because life is it's finite, man. And some people have the gift to change lives, and knowing that we changed her life, even if it's temporary while she's with our company, to provide for her family better than she could in other places, that's why I do this.
I love it.
I want to do more charity events. I think that's great. I'd love to collaborate on something like that, some kind of thing like that. Yeah, we spent a lot of time together. Thank you for spending your time with us. You've dropped some absolute bombs and golden nuggets, and anyone that listens to this hopefully can take some of the extremely valuable experience and time that you spend in building companies and giving to charity, and can start and take action with some of the stuff that you've said. And just closing out, if you could just speak to an audience that's listening to you with an open heart and open ears. And I know you dropped already a lot of action items. Just something to close out on what you think is today being 2024, maybe we're going into recession. No one really knows what's going on. Where should people maybe be spending their time?
You have absolute access to the world from your cell phone, and it's getting cheaper and cheaper and faster and more effective. So you have the power to make extra money from working for Postmates or DoorDash or deliveries, Uber, Lyft, etc., which is part of why I don't think we'll go into recession, because there's a lot of ways to make money, unlike 2008 and every other 8 to 12 years we've had recessions in the past. There wasn't a smartphone back then. So people couldn't sell their dresses on Etsy. They couldn't sell their shoes on StockX to make extra money for rent. So the reason I don't believe in the recession the same way is I know that we have ways to make money now where we didn't have 2 or 3 side hustles before, because that didn't exist back in 2008, right? Now, 15-year-olds can make 10 grand a month editing videos like this, charging $200 a video, $100 a video, right, from their living room at 15 years old. Moms can make money by puppy sitting and dog walking from an app. They can go use this app and go be a dog walker. So unlike before, if everyone loses their job, there's still jobs to be had, and they need, but ultimately, if you realize that you have the power of the world inside of that cell phone, and you pick a niche, you can make money. You can build a brand. You can get a bunch of clients. You can gain respect. You can gain access, all from your cell phone. And so as we go into tumultuous times with the election, regardless of hopefully who wins, but regardless of who wins, we are going to go through chaos.
Yeah.
And with the most likely candidate winning, our stocks, our companies, our mortgages, everything's going to get better. Yeah. Interest rates will go down, stock market will go up, business will be flowing, and a newfound confidence will happen with the likely candidate winning. If it doesn't go that way, we will have some real chaos. And in that, when there's blood in the streets, a lot of opportunities arise. And so during those times, you just got to be really smart. You got to learn as much as you can, and you got to be ready to act with that, whatever happens. But come November, like, it's a lot of money will be made. You just have to determine if you're going to be the one making it or the one spending the money.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love it.
Well, thank you, Dan.
A pleasure.
Another episode of the Playbook, and I think you've really helped some people today, and I know that that's your mission. So thank you again for being here. Another episode of the Playbook. You can see us on YouTube, Instagram. Where can people follow you, Dan?
Every social media platform is just at Dan Fleyshman. And also a quick tip, make sure that your bio photo and your actual bio is the same across every platform. Because it's, remember that game like Memory? Like that pops up like, is that person wearing glasses and a black hat? Oh, okay, that's him, right? If that's your bio photo, then wear the same glasses in every photo.
Branding.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.